Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be analyzing this masterful talk at Oxford University, and you'll be quite intrigued because if you are an atheist, this will get you to at least consider there's a God. If you're an agnostic, this will convince you there is absolutely a God. And if you are an anti-Christian or of another faith or another belief system, this will prove to you that Jesus is God. And if you are a Christian, this will increase your faith and trust in God. Welcome everybody to Man After God, where we take current events and questions you may be asking and analyze them from a biblical perspective. We want to know, what does God and the Bible have to say about this? And if you are in the Toronto area and would like to join us for church, please join us this Sunday at 1:45 p.m. at Conquer Assembly. Without any delay, let's get right into it.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I believe in God. I believe in the supernatural God who created the heavens and the earth. I believe in a God who holds the heavens and the earth in existence. I believe that on the basis of rational evidence, similar to the beliefs held by the founders of this house, who gave this university the motto, Dominus Illuminatio Mea. They saw no contradiction between faith in God and the utmost excellence in rational inquiry. And if I dare mention my alma mater of Cambridge in this holy place, I would remind you that on the door of the Cavendish Laboratory in Cambridge are written the words, "Great are the works of the Lord, studied by all who delight in them." And as we look at the rise of science in the 16th and 17th centuries, Alfred North Whitehead and many others commented that men became scientific because they expected law in nature, and they expected law in nature because they believed in a lawgiver. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not ashamed of being both a scientist and a Christian, because arguably Christianity gave me my subject. What I am amazed at is that serious thinkers today continue to ask us to choose between God and science. That's like asking people to choose between Henry Ford and engineering as an explanation of the motor car. When Newton discovered his law of gravity, he didn't say, "I've got a law, I don't need God." No, he wrote the Principia Mathematica, arguably the greatest work in the whole history of science, because he saw that God is not the same kind of explanation as a scientific explanation. God doesn't compete. Agency does not compete with mechanism and law. Why is there something rather than nothing? Alan Sandage, the brilliant cosmologist who became a Christian in his 50s, said God is the answer to that question. But people are now so desperate to show that the universe created itself from nothing, which seems to me to be an immediate oxymoron. If I say X created Y, I'm assuming the existence of X to explain the existence of Y. If I say X created X, I'm assuming the existence of X to explain the existence of X, which simply shows that nonsense remains nonsense even if high-powered scientists utter it. It reminds me a little bit of G.K. Chesterton, who said, "It is absurd to complain that it is unthinkable for an unthinkable God to make everything out of nothing, and then to pretend that it is more thinkable that nothing should turn itself into everything. The heavens declare the glory of God," says the ancient psalm. And we've unraveled a bit of that, seeing the fine-tuning of the fundamental forces of nature. It's something that's so striking to scientists that it demands explanation. And it seems to me that Arno Penzias hit it right. He is the Nobel Prize winner who discovered the microwave background on which a lot of the evidence for the Big Bang is based. He said, "Astronomy leads us to a unique event, a universe which was created out of nothing, one with the very delicate balance needed to provide exactly the right conditions required to permit life, and one which has an underlying, one might say, supernatural plan." But I want to come to what I think is one of the fundamental arguments for theism. I take it this house believes in reason. That's why we're all here. And as a scientist, I believe that the universe is rationally intelligible. That is something that has struck some of the geniuses of science as demanding an explanation. Einstein said the only incomprehensible thing about the universe is that it's comprehensible. And Wigner talked about the unreasonable effectiveness of mathematics. How is it that a mathematician thinking in her head in here can come up with equations that seem to fit the universe out there? Well, how is it indeed? Because the irony of the atheist position here is evident. My atheist friends, and I have many of them, tell me that the driving force of evolution, which eventually produced our human cognitive faculties, reason included, was not primarily concerned with truth at all, but with survival. And we all know, ladies and gentlemen, what has often happened and still happens to truth when individuals or commercial enterprises or nations feel themselves threatened and struggle for survival. Leading philosopher Alvin Plantinga of Notre Dame says if atheists are right that we are the product of mindless, unguided natural processes, then they have given us strong reason to doubt the reliability of human cognitive faculties, and therefore inevitably to doubt the validity of any belief that they produce, including their atheism. Their biology and their belief in naturalism would therefore appear to be at war with each other in a conflict that has nothing at all to do with God. Yet my atheist friends still insist that it is rational for them to believe that the evolution of human reason was not directed for the purpose of discovering truth. And yet, it is irrational for me to believe that human reason was designed and created by God to enable us to understand and believe the truth. Okay,
we're going to just analyze it from here. First of all, this is part 1 of 3 because this is a 15-minute talk, but I want to be able to analyze these in chunks, and so we're going to make this a 3-part series. The first thing that he talks about really is the compatibility of faith and reason. John Lennox here, we see, opens with affirming his belief in a supernatural God who created and sustains the universe. This is grounded on what he's saying is rational evidence. And he notes that the founders of major educational institutions like Oxford, like the one he's addressing right now, saw no contradiction between faith in God and the pursuit of a rational excellence, a pursuit of science. That there's harmony between faith and reason, and this sets the stage for the argument that Christianity and scientific inquiry are compatible pursuits. In Proverbs 1:7, it says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." You see, the Bible asserts that true knowledge starts with reverence for God, establishing that a foundation in faith enhances intellectual exploration. We see that in the early scientific and Enlightenment age. This idea resonates with the historical reality that many pioneering scientists were motivated by their faith to explore the order of the universe because we have a God that is ordered. Number 2, science as an exploration of God's order. This brings us into that because Dr. Lennox recalls that the early scientists motivated for studying nature, really their motivation for that was a belief in God who created these laws in the universe, and that we would be able to see consistent order, that this consistent order could be studied, that it could be understood. And he cites Alfred North Whitehead's observation that the expectation of order in nature stemmed from a belief in a moral lawgiver. So rather than opposing faith, science developed as a response to faith. Psalms 111:2 says, "Great are the works of the Lord. They are pondered by all who delight in him." And this verse echoes the idea that studying creation is not only compatible with faith, but a response to faith. Biblical thought supports the notion that the universe is comprehensible because it was created by a rational, orderly God who endowed humanity, you and I, with the capacity to study his work, to study his creation. Number 3, and I have 5 points here. There's a massive critique of self-creation here, rationalizing the universe creating itself out of nothing. John Lennox challenges the notion that the universe could create itself from nothing, describing it as a logical impossibility. He argues that claiming the universe came from nothing contradicts the principles of science in itself. It contradicts the principles of causality and reason, comparing this claim to Chesterton's critique that it is more thinkable that nothing should turn itself into everything. So there was nothing and now there is everything. He emphasizes that the fine-tuning of the universe points to intentional design. In Hebrews 3:4, "For every house is built by someone, but God is the builder of everything." You see here, the writer of Hebrews reinforces that creation implies a creator, that a biblical worldview upholds that creation is not some random occurrence, but the result of divine purpose, contrasting with secular or atheist views that attempt to explain existence without acknowledging an existence maker, without acknowledging God's agency in creation, which is in fact much more difficult to believe. Number 4, the role of reason and the atheist's biggest dilemma. We see here that Dr. Lennox highlights the irony that many atheists claim that human reason evolved purely for survival rather than for discovering truth. He quotes a philosopher, Alvin Plantinga, who argues that if human reason is a product of mindless evolution, it gives us no solid grounds to trust its conclusions, including the conclusions of atheism. This presents really one of the biggest challenges of atheism, which undermines its own reliability by denying a design purpose for human reason. If there's no purpose for human reason, if there's no purpose for human existence, then how can we trust in a conclusion which has no purpose? Isaiah 1:18 tells us, "Come now, let us reason together, says the Lord." And this invitation to reason, this invitation underscores that reason is a God-given faculty given to human beings who are image bearers of God. Reason, in fact, is designed to help us understand and relate to God, who is a reason giver. There are Reformed thinkers like John Calvin emphasize that reason, while aligned with faith, enables us to apprehend truth. And without the foundation of God, reason becomes unreasonable, uncertain, and limited. Number 5, the rationality of theism over atheism. So here at the 4-minute mark, you see him contrasting atheism with a biblical theism. And he argues that believing in God, theism, which sees the universe as a product of a divine, intelligent mind, makes better sense of human rationality than atheism. Because with atheism, you have reason, but without any foundation for that reason. On the other hand, Christian belief that we are image bearers of God, that we are created in God's image, explains why we possess cognitive abilities, reason suited to understanding the world around us. In Genesis 1:27, so God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female, he created them. Being made in God's image includes God's rational capacities, although not at his level, obviously, but it mirrors God's own wisdom, giving us the basis for knowledge, morality, science, and understanding. This is foundational in any human being's ability to grasp and explore truth in a meaningful, God-centered, purposeful way. So even in these first 5 minutes, we see a masterclass that John Lennox constructs this compelling case for the compatibility of Christianity and science, noting that belief in a rational, ordered universe is consistent with theism, not atheism. And this argument presents a perspective that scientific inquiry, grounded on a biblical worldview, acknowledging a creator of the universe, both acknowledges and glorifies God and God's creation. Rather than separating faith and reason, we can take faith, we can take reason, and with both reveal a fuller understanding of the world and the purpose of why we are in it. And the finished work of Christ on the cross provides the ultimate fulfillment of truth and redemption, revealing God's wisdom, his love, his justice, his power, his reasoning, that through Christ, believers not only find salvation, but also find the highest reason for existence. We ground all truth, we ground all pursuits in knowledge, in understanding, in the person and the work of Jesus Christ, who is the way, the truth, and the life. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed that and are blessed. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If it has blessed you, please subscribe for more content like this, for part 2 that will be coming out. And remember that you are more than conquerors in Christ with his great and wonderful love for you. Until next time, God bless you. Have a great afternoon, have a great morning, have a great evening, wherever you are, and we will see you again next time.